Hello and welcome to the Film Pittsburgh Fall Festival and a special Q&A with some of the creators behind some of the shorts in the Thrills and Chills block you just watched. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm going to have everyone introduce themselves and their film. Kate, tell us your name and what you did with Attachment.
Yes, my name is Katie Babicz. I'm from Poland. I'm from Warsaw. I'm speaking from Warsaw, and I've made this short Attachment about a man who leaves his wife for a beautiful young lover, and then he starts to to have questions about it when he moves in with her. So it's a horror movie.
One way to put it, questions about it. All right, Sarah.
Hi, my name is Sarah Gurfield. I'm the director and executive producer of Boy Eats Girl, a zombie love story, which is about two zombies who meet cute while they're fighting over a dead woman's intestines.
As one does. Maya?
I'm Maya. I'm the producer of Diabla, and it's a female revenge horror story with witches.
Yes, it is. I love these descriptions. This is my favorite interview. No pressure, Melissa.
Hi, so I'm Melissa Mars. I'm calling from New York. My short movie is The Last Touch. It's about a couple who struggles to find intimacy and continue to love each other in a world where everything is controlled by an artificial intelligence, and connection has been sort of lost.
It's scary. Ashley?
My name is Ashley Williams. I wrote, directed, and produced Meats, which is about a lifelong vegan who is pregnant and struggling with her newfound craving for meat.
Okay. Kate, I'm going to start with you. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Tell us a little bit about how Attachment came about. It's really a cautionary tale against cheating. Am I right?
I never wanted, and I don't want to moralize, people. And I think it's about more about, to me, it's about loneliness in a relationship. So I don't moralize this guy because I really feel poor for him. Yeah. So I think that I have always been fascinated about these interpersonal, intimate relationships among people, and I'm also a child of a toxic relationship between my parents. So I think I wanted to tell this story. I don't know where it came from, but maybe just in general from this that I observed some things, and this is a simple short movie. I've made it at the end of the film school after my fourth year, I think. So it was a simple story, and I know that many things could be better in it, but I tried to give my horror movie a real serious subject, and because this is my ambition to tell people, especially here in Poland, where the genre movies are not really respected still on Polish festivals. I want to tell people that horror movie and thriller movie can be also a beautiful work of art with a really serious subject, and anything can be put into the form of a horror movie, which is also serious and touches human nature. So this was my ambition, and I know it. I have not succeeded, but I tried.
You have. I'm going to tell you, I watched it, and I think you have.
Thank you.
It was beautifully shot. I mean, the coloring was lovely. The locations, everything was just beautifully shot. And the other thing that I found so interesting was that you told such a complete story with so little dialogue. Talk to us about that choice.
Dialogue is communication. So as we all know, dialogue is communication, and the more dialogue in a genre movie, especially in the secret horror thriller movie, can destroy the picture, because if we don't speak too much, it's always more secret. It's always some mystery in it, and I just didn't think as simple as that. I just didn't think it is necessary for them to talk a lot, because this was the way I saw it. The more secret, the more mystery in it, the better.
Yeah, and you were really able to communicate everything, I think, from the wife's point of view to, you know, the relationship between the couple was so well communicated, really, without a lot of dialogue. So I really commend you for that. That's hard to do, I think.
Thank you very much. I tried. Thank you.
Well, it was lovely. Thanks for sharing it with us. I'm so glad we got to show everybody.
I'm really honored to be with you here, even online. So it's fascinating.
I am disappointed we're not all sitting around the table having this conversation, but next year. So everybody get working and bring your films next year. Right? Again, no pressure. Sarah, I want to talk about your film, but I have to ask this question. What were the guts made out of? I have to know, because they were actually eating it.
Oh yeah. So the guts were made by me. I had never done anything with so many sort of in-cam special effects like that. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos and learned how to they were like vegan sausage casings stuffed with tofu that I had, used food coloring to dye. And then because I love my actors, I did them 2 ways. The stuff that they would have to eat, I marinated the tofu in soy sauce, and then I also did a version where I put truffle salt all over it, and I let them choose which one they wanted.
Human got 2 ways, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. So that is probably the props question you're asking about.
Yes, in fact it is, actually. Yes, so that's indie filmmaking on a budget too. Watch the YouTube. How do I make nuts that are actually edible? Okay, yep. I had to get that out of the way. Now we'll talk about the actual. It was such a lovely love story between these zombies. Yeah.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. When the writers, Lauren Hynek and Elizabeth Martin, brought me this script, it was just hilarious. I mean, talk about no dialogue. They only speak in grunts and gras. So there's no English, but it basically tasked the actors with doing double duty, because each exchange had like a parenthetical translation. So they had to know when they were speaking. They also had to know what the intent of the line was, but all they could verbalize was "grah." So that was challenging, but we had a lot of fun with it. Yeah. And I loved it. I had never, directed a genre piece before. I'd done rom-coms, but the first minute is a zombie horror film, and then they just go through every beat of a romantic comedy, which is very much the dark humor is very much in my wheelhouse. So it was just a lot of fun.
It definitely was influenced by your rom-com background, because it really was boy meets girl.
Yeah. Well, rom-com background, and it's fun to sort of watch it on that level. But I also feel like part of what drew me to it was, it really is the zombie woman's appetite, both literal and sexual, that drives the narrative. And I wanted to work with just a bunch of amazing women, much like, the people on screen today. But we had more than half our cast and crew as women, and that was just delightful. Yeah, it was great.
That is great. Yeah, thank you. I'm so glad you shared it with us. It was terrific.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you bet. Maya, let's talk a little bit about Diabla. You shot it in Mexico, you said, correct?
Yeah. Mexico City and a suburb of Mexico City called Iztapalapa.
Okay. And it was, the location, as an American, I think, a North American, the location was really almost a character in the film, I would say.
Yeah, completely. It's my MFA thesis as well. It's my Columbia MFA producing thesis. And I just had, I was really incensed by Trump's comments about women and Mexicans. And I was like, something is pulling me to Mexico, I need to go. And so I sort of researched and lived there for a month. Wow. And a lot of the locations came out of random conversations. The Iztapalapa ones were mainly because I met a guy who shot music videos there and was like, it's incredible, you need to go. My co-producer and right hand, she lives there, and so she was able to find some really cool, unusual locations. And so it all came together very holistic. It wasn't like we had a script and went and were looking. It was more like we found cool locations and adapted our script to it. Mm-hmm. And the writer is Mexican too, so he could see it very clearly. So me and the director were really able to get that sense of verisimilitude, which is great.
Yeah, it really was, and there was a lot of movement in it as well. You really felt like you were literally following this character through this journey of this experience.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome. And she's amazing too, Ruth. She's got this incredible face. And her debut was at Venice Film Festival in a weird alien movie called like I can't butcher this, La Región Salvaje, which is the Untamed, and it's incredible as well. So watch that. It's so good. She's amazing.
Well, she really was. She had so much emotion. You could see all of the emotion playing across her face throughout the whole thing, and it was riveting to watch, really.
Thank you.
Oh, of course, the witches were an unexpected turn for me, I have to say.
Yeah, well, that's because when we were researching, like we got really into. I mean, Suspiria is one of my favorite films, and director Ashley also felt that way. And we also stumbled upon a market, like that's the market at the beginning, I believe, which is a witch. It's actually called a witch market. It's called Sonora. It's in Mexico. A lot of my friends refused to go there. And so I think when we went there, we were really excited by it, and then we were like, oh, okay, we think the witches are going to be a presence.
Oh wow, that is really fun to see the evolution of this film. It wasn't that someone sat down and wrote it, and then you attach it to director. Everything you think about the evolution of a film. So that's really interesting to hear how it came about. Thank you.
That's unusual.
Melissa, let's talk a little bit about The Last Touch. It was a little Orwellian, can we say? Sort of this.
What does that mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. So like that someone is watching us, always watching. So there's a guiding force, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I guess my influence comes from my first reading as a teenager in 1984, and also our current world with all the social media. I don't know if you saw the documentary recently on Netflix, The Social Dilemma. It comes right in alignment with that. Actually, 2 years ago, I shot it in New York when I moved in New York from LA, and I was in acting class, and our teacher pushed us to create, and it was like you either direct or write or act or the three of them in a story about our current situation with social media. And so I went to bed and I couldn't sleep. Like right away, I had that idea, that vision of us communicating through phones and being always so connected that we're so disconnected from each other. And I wanted to explore that and bring it to our through this vision.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting that you had them communicate that way, because physically those characters were so close together. They were literally in a bed right next to each other, and yet they were communicating through their devices.
Yes. Yeah. And an interesting thing that happened is that I was not gonna finish it. It was for class, and the first edit was different and very explanatory, and I was not happy with that. So I had to shoot it really quick. It was like very limited means to make it. But when the pandemic happened, I was so. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention, actually, everybody was so supportive of this concept and liked it that I started to develop it as a pilot with a screenwriting partner. Yeah. And so I was keeping that short as a proof of concept for it. Okay. But when the pandemic happened is like when I thought, I'm going to be so behind now because everybody has to keep distance somehow. Like when I went to Trader Joe's the first time and everybody was 6 feet away from each other, I was like, wow, this is so The Last Touch, like when is it that we're going to go back to a normal world? I don't know. But it was made 2 years before that. And I was like, now I need to finish it. Yeah. And the Sweet Cherry voice character actually only was created a couple months before I finished the editing. It was not in the original version. So. Oh,
wow. Wow. Did you go back and totally re-edit the original or just tweaks?
I tweaked it. Yeah, I cut out a part where everything was explained, and then I rewrote that character. I created and wrote that character, and so I had Monica Levitt recording the voice of the Sweet Cherry.
Well, it is a film of our times. As you say, everybody is so involved in their devices. I don't know, do you look at it as an allegory, or do you think it's a commentary on our times, or looking into the future? Hopefully not.
Yeah, it's a future that's pretty close to us.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a metaphor of what's going on right now and where we could be going towards in an extreme vision, like if we don't pay attention, it seems that we're losing connection by being so connected.
Yeah, yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Yeah, and it does sort of happen just incrementally, and you don't even really realize how much you're dependent on those devices. So yeah, really great film. Thank you for sharing it with us. Really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Thank you. And that's my first festival, by the way.
Yay! Thanks for choosing us. Oh, that makes me happy to hear.
Yeah, I'm very honored.
It's a good choice. So speaking objectively. Hi, Ashley. Let's talk about meats. Okay, let's jump in. Okay, I have a first question for you too. Apparently, I'm very involved in the props of all of your films. I don't know, but was that a real lamb? Oh, yeah. Wow. Wow.
It was a very expensive prop. It was our most expensive prop. Yeah, I mean, on that note, one thing that was really, really important to me was that if we were going to butcher an entire lamb on camera, I needed to make sure that it was done responsibly so that every single part of the lamb was used and then consumed. So that is what we did. I hired a real butcher to play the butcher. And what he was doing on camera was actually how you would butcher a lamb. I mean, obviously. So I took the entire lamb home and ate it.
Which I guess is the answer to my second question. Are you really vegan? So
no, I'm not vegan at all. I'm not remotely. The opposite. I'll never eat lamb again though, because I kind of overdid it. But yeah, I had the entire lamb in my freezer and we ate it over the course of like 4 months.
Wow, that's a lot of lamb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, I have to say that is quite unexpected. I did not really think that would happen. So the butcher was an actual butcher. He was not an actor responding in that lovely way. He was so deadpan and so great. It was so fun to watch him. Well,
yeah, he'd never acted before. And you know, I didn't go in looking for an actor. I went in looking for a butcher who could listen, you know, actively. And so that was what he did so well. And then I basically just asked him to speak organically about where the lamb came from and, you know,
that was improv?
Well, it was improv. It was, you know, it was like curated. Yeah. Improv.
Curated improv. All right. I mean, I'm going to just move on from that. I mean, he really, though, was, it was very funny. His reactions were very funny, and he really did, he just really added so much to it. But it really is your main character's story. You know, it really is her sort of ongoing monologue about this vegan existence and this newfound desire or renewed desire, I guess, correct, for meat.
Yeah. I mean, the reason I wrote this piece is, I at the time I wrote it because I had assigned myself to write a short film a week for 6 weeks. And this was just one of them that came out. But I have always been really interested in, like, I love eating meat, and I've always felt really bad about that. And that, you know, that paradox with the juxtaposition between how I identify and then how I really am is something I've always been fascinated by. So the piece became a metaphor for that, you know, who are we versus who our body wants us to be. I thought was really interesting. Yeah,
she struggles. She really struggles throughout this in a kind of funny way, though, of course. But, you know, it had such unexpected moments. Also, it really made you feel for the lamb, that poor lamb. And for her struggles going through this. So you really, it was more than a thriller and more than a comedy, really hit so many levels in it, which is lovely.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And the things that you were eating then when you were eating the marrow, that was actually actual, oh my goodness. Wow, you are a better woman than I don't think I could have
No,
done.
I don't think it's better. I think she was just exploring.
Exploring, okay. Well, I'm curious, I guess. Sorry. Anyway, in the end, so tell us about those little baby lamb at the end too. Were you on a local farm? Were you in LA? Did you shoot it in LA?
No, we shot it in New York.
Okay.
So we shot all the butcher sequences in at Jake's in Chelsea Market.
Okay.
And then we over Christmas, my husband, my sister lives in Tennessee and Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
So my husband and I rented just a C300, and I called around to a bunch of sheep farms and asked if they had any new lambs and if we could swing by and grab some footage. And literally we shot that last sequence like right at sunset. One of my kids was asleep in the car. We didn't want to wake him up. We like ran out. I jumped in the field with all these lambs, and then my husband shot a bunch while I was sort of yelling at him like, go left, go wider, go wider, go wider. And he'd be like, stop talking. You're not be talking. I was like trying to direct him. Complete disaster, but we got a couple shots that ended up working.
We've got some great shots. Is he a cinematographer?
No, not at all. Not
yet. No. My goodness.
Yeah, he's a really sweet guy.
Well, he is a good guy. He did a phenomenal job, and I'm so glad I asked about the lamb at the end, because who knew that story would come out of it?
Right. To note, he did produce it with me, so that was
there. All right.
He had a legit role.
Yeah,
other than just doting, lovely husband.
Right, which is important in and of itself. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say no lambs were harmed in the making of this short, but clearly that is not the case.
I can't say that. No.
I cannot say that at all.
No. They were done so they were hurt respectfully and kindly and painlessly.
You do not have the PETA seal of approval, but you did do it very respectfully.
Right. That's correct.
Well, it was a lot of fun. I loved it, and I'm so glad you shared it with us. And we thank you for bringing it to Pittsburgh.
Thank you.
Thank you all. This was so much fun. I've just loved talking with you. I loved watching your films, and we're so grateful that you shared them with our audience.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you for joining us. I hope that you enjoy the rest of the festival.